Lindsey Means is a human design expert and guide. She helps hairstylists feel better behind the chair, and today we're going to learn about her journey to getting there, as well as what is human design and how can it impact your life. Welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. My name is Robert Hughes, and I'm your host. Today, I'm here with Lindsey Means. How you doing today, Lindsey?
I'm doing amazing. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Awesome. So why don't we get a before you tell us about human design, because I think we should get to know you a little bit first. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey in starting with how'd you get into hair, why, and what led you what was your career path like, and which led you to making this shift?
Oh, yeah, I love telling this story. So, I was homeschooled and I graduated early when I was like 16. And I started working pretty quickly. And my parents were trying to force me to go to college, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I remember talking to my friend Miles, and I was like, I don't know what to do. What do you think I should do? And he said, I think you'd make a good hairstylist. And I was like, okay, cool. And that planted the seed. Then a couple of years later, I was a hair model for DJ Muldoon at a Paul Mitchell salon in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I lived. And I had no idea what he was talking about, but I was like, I want to learn this. Like, this guy's awesome. This is so cool. I want to be in this world, in this environment. So I applied to a Paul Mitchell school out in Costa Mesa, California. And that's where I grew up. And I packed up my bags and I moved and I started cosmetology school in 2008, I believe. And I loved it. I took advantage of everything that I could in school. I was on the honors roll, the dean list. I won a bunch of contests. I was obsessed with hair and it felt really good. And so after I graduated, I did commission for a year, built up my clientele, and then I said, I'm going on my own. And so I was independent from then on. So I worked in LA on Melrose. I had a blast doing what I loved, living the life. And then my life shifted when I turned 30. So this was 2014. And I ended up breaking up with my ex in California. And I said, I'm moving back to Oklahoma. So I moved there and I quit doing hair for 2 years. So I had got on a personal training journey. So I lost 50 pounds, got super into health and fitness, and became a personal trainer. I pursued that for a couple years. And then in 2016, I decided to move to Austin, Texas, where I currently live. And I just randomly thought, I want to do hair again. And so I found a salon that would let me work 1 day a week. I worked on Sundays. I was a server at a sushi place for the rest of the time. And slowly but surely, I built up my clientele. And probably a year, no, it wasn't even that long, a couple months after I decided I wanted to do hair, I really knew that I wanted to do a lot better with the business side because we don't really get taught business in cosmetology school. And the guy that I was dating, he was doing really well. He was making over 100K, and I was like, I want to do that behind the chair, but I'm going to need help. So I invested in Thrivers Society with Brett Siva. And within a year, I went from working 1 day a week to 3 days a week. I tripled my income. All my books were full of soulmate clients, and I was living the life. Like, it was amazing. I had everything that I wanted. I checked off all the boxes, but then I still didn't feel happy and I still didn't feel loved. And so this was around the time I started my personal development journey. And so fast forward to a couple of years, COVID happened and I had 2 months off. And I was already wanting to become an educator to kind of teach what I had learned entrepreneurship wise. I got really obsessed with that. So I was already kind of thinking about getting away from behind the chair. So when I had 2 months off, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I don't want to go back to behind the chair. Like, I love being by myself. And during that time is when I was in an entrepreneur group, and someone said, do you know what your human design is? And I love personality tests. I love learning about myself. And that's what I thought it was. So whenever I got my chart, and I know we'll get into more of this later, but when I got my chart, it said, you're a manifesting generator. And I was like, ooh, that's cool. And I started applying what little knowledge that I Googled. And I quickly saw transformation. And so at that point, I became obsessed and read every book I could get my hands on, took a course, started running every single person's chart in my whole entire world so I could learn more and study people. But yeah, that's a snippet of my hair journey.
All right. So you went to school, you graduated school, you went to work at a salon, right? And real just curiosity, did you work in a salon while you were in school or did you wait to no? So you finished school and you were applying at multiple salons? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I was definitely cocky. I was like, I'm gonna get a job straight out of school. It's gonna be amazing. I've got this whole all this resume. So I was doing hair for fashion shows and photo shoots and events, and I had an amazing portfolio. And for a month, I applied to every single freaking salon that I could find, and it was like a week would go by, nothing. A week would go by, nothing, and they wanted to have, well, you don't have experience, you don't have experience. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I just paid a lot of money to go to Paul Mitchell. Like, I totally had this ego that I would instantly get a job. And I ended up finding the salon that I worked at. The name was called Wackos. And it was this teeny tiny salon in Studio City, like right down the street from me. I don't even know how I found it. I think I just saw it and walked in, and they were turning clients away. And so I got real lucky because I remember getting depressed after like week. I think I found them like week 4, week 5, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm running out of money. What am I gonna do? So yeah, that was definitely. I don't think people talk about that enough. That transition from school to working behind the chair, I was like, and I was dead set on not assisting. I was like, I don't want to assist for a year. I want to go straight into clients. That's what I've been working on in school. So yeah, that was quite the experience.
So that's and you graduated cosmetology school in like 2008, 9? Is that right?
2009, yeah.
So you were like 10 years ahead of the game because they so many of the students in school now they feel the same way. They very much feel like they paid for the school, they got their education. Like I've been on the clinic floor, I have this portfolio, and they can't quite figure out why the higher end salons, that have either established brand or high price points, they don't want to put them right on the floor, and
Mm,
it creates a lot of challenges for them, psychologically, emotionally. Like it hits their confidence, and then some end up saying, well, I'm just going to go out and do my own thing, and then the failure rate of that is really heartbreaking. So I'm glad that we were able to touch on that. Well, and on that note, do you have any advice for any one that's in that situation right now?
that's a really good question. I would say keep following your heart, because I was dead set on, no, that's not going to happen. I don't want to assist. So the more people kept saying no to me, the more it was kind of motivating me. And yeah, it was scary, but I finally got what I wanted. And so I think that if that's something you really 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 want, like take the action behind it. And really get clear on, also get clear on what you want, because that was a great salon that I worked at, but ultimately it wasn't my forever home. And so I really think that if you show how passionate you are and you're like, I know I'm straight out of school, but I know my stuff. Like I knew my stuff. And obviously, like you make mistakes, like I'm sure, like we all do. Even one of the last clients I ever did, I totally made a mistake. So that's inevitable. But yeah, I think just really keep following your heart and keep trusting that it will happen.
All right. Okay, so let's go now. Let's jump to your story and leading into human design. And first, now I think is a good time. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what is human design, and like how did it impact your life?
Ooh, love this question. So, Human design's a little weird. I'm going to say that straight off. It's weird. I like to say it's like an alien language, and I'm a really good translator. So it's all about energy. And we are all energy. Everything in the universe is energy. And when you're behind the chair, when you're sitting with someone, you're transmitting and receiving energy to and from them. And so human design is a modality. It's not a belief system, it's a modality, and it combines ancient modalities of astrology, Kabbalah, I Ching, the chakra system, and quantum mechanics.
What it
So,
sorry, what are modalities?
so it's a tool. A modality is a
Okay.
tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So these are ancient tools that people use. So Kabbalah, I Ching is more about personality. Astrology is the stars and where they were positioned in the sky. And then I don't know how quantum mechanics comes into play with this, but somehow it does. And so it's a little out there. It's a little weird, like I said, but it uses your birth information to create your energetic blueprint. So this is why I love it, is because it celebrates diversity. There is no one on earth that has the same human design as you. And this is something that has really impacted me because I've thought I was a weirdo my whole entire freaking life. And I felt like there was something wrong with me. I was hiding those parts that I thought were wrong or weird. And when I started learning about my human design, it said, yeah, girl, you're a freaking weirdo, and this is who you are. And so it empowered me to embrace those parts of me that I thought were wrong or bad and look at them as superpowers. And so the reason that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I get to look at people all the time and say, there's nothing wrong with you. This is literally how you're designed, and helping people feel validated and seen, heard, and recognized for being them. So it's weird. You can Google human design chart and put in your birth details. If you don't know what time you were born, you can put 12 p.m. And like I said, it's weird. There's a lot of weird terminology. It'll pull up this little guy that has nine shapes on it. And at the end of the day, there's only three things that everyone needs to know about their design. But as far as behind the chair goes, I had massive stress and anxiety my whole career. And when I learned about human design, I learned where I was transmitting and receiving energy from my clients. So I'm an empath. I feel people's emotions. And when I'm by myself, I'm pretty chill, like neutral emotionally. And when I was with behind the chair, there would be probably half, because half of the population have this attribute in human design. Half of my clients, it felt like they didn't like their hair, or it felt like they're emotional about something. And I would create a story. I would say, they hate their hair, they hate me, they're never coming back. And that created this anxiety where I was picking up on their emotions that probably had nothing to do with their hair. So that was a big aha moment behind the chair when I understood, oh, I'm an empath and I feel their emotions, but that doesn't, like, I can just feel them and I don't have to have anxiety around them anymore. So that was a big game changer for me behind the chair. But it really, it can help you in every area of your life. It's transformed my relationships. First you understand yourself, then you can start understanding the people around you. I quit doing hair before I got to this point, but one of my friends, she gets her clients human designs in the consultation, and she caters their experience to them, and their energy, which is super cool. But there's so many areas that you can utilize this tool in your life.
That's very interesting. So just to kind of give so I understand like my sign, for example. Well, I mean, I don't really I'm not a huge follower and reader of astrology, but I know quite a bit of people who are, and they can have when I'm in a room with people and they're talking about their signs, um and they're having a whole conversation with like kind of getting to know each other by having this conversation. And so I'm assuming it's kind of like that, but with kind of expanded beyond astrology. Is that kind
Yeah.
of, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah. I
So,
like to say I
go
like
ahead.
to say it's like every personality test in the world and then some. Like, I most of the time, well, not most of the time, but sometimes when the astrology is like that keyword, that sometimes when I say that, people are like checked out. Like, nope, astrology, no thanks.
Okay.
Um, and because it is a little bit more maybe spiritual woo woo kind of like it can be a little it's interesting because every single person who has checked out to my ex when I first started getting into this, he's like, astrology, get out of here. I'm not listening to anything you have to say. And then I would tell him about himself and he could not deny. He's like, how do you know that? I've read hundreds of charts and my from the most logical people in the world, my sister, she's so logical and she is totally against anything that goes against science. And I share her design with her and she's like, okay, cool. Like you can't deny, like, I'm just telling you about you, but I'm telling you through an energetic lens. So that's why I love it because even the most logical people in the world who are totally against certain modalities, uh, they can't deny. They're like, how do you know me? I'm like, I don't. I just know your energy and I know how to read it. And so that I like to explain that because sometimes people can check out and it's something new. It's weird. That's why I start off the conversation with it's weird. It's like an alien language, but ultimately, it's just giving you validation for who you are.
So speaking of modalities, I dated someone who wanted me to take the quiz for the 5 love languages,
Hmm.
and I was like, this is so stupid. I'm not doing that. And I did after that relationship, I did it with another. I think the next time I did it was with now my now wife, uh, and it was a tool that I didn't want to use because it was like I don't know, it was just like this psychological barrier for me to like at least give it a chance. Like,
Hmm.
at least give it a chance and like check it out and see like what I get from it. And what I got from that is understanding just how different my wife and I experience love. And
Mm.
so that was like such a powerful thing for us. And it helped kind of like where we start with our communication. And every time I think about like, what am I going to get for her for our anniversary or Christmas or her birthday, I can think about that. I have this tool to help me understand like what is a good thing to like do something nice for her if I wanted to do something, or if she's not happy or having a stressful day or something like that. So I totally understand like, having people hear this something and it kind of strikes a chord with them to where they're like, oh no, that's BS, or I'm not, it's not for me. uh okay, so I would like to like really kind of open up on and dive into human design and what your experience has been, because you work with other people and other stylists, and I really want to get into that. But I think we should have like a whole episode for that. So we've heard your story. We've heard a little bit about like getting into it and what human design is, and could you like to wrap this one up, maybe you could tell us what how you use it for yourself day in and day out, and is are there any sort of it's information, but does it come along with practices or advice, or is that where you come in that journey, or of using it or helping someone with it? And any sort of advice that you have for anybody that's dealing with something that human design could help them deal with, to as like a kind of like a way to kind of wrap up and kind of sign off.
Oh yeah, love this. So I use it every single day because we'll get into this more in the next one, but it really helps you operate your body. So I've totally forgot to say this earlier, but I'll end it with this. Your body's the all intelligent vehicle. It breathes on its own, it heals itself. Your subconscious mind is creating your reality, and your soul, your spirit, who you are, you're designed to just be the passenger and enjoy the ride. And due to conditioning and society and limited beliefs and how we grew up, we're sitting in the passenger seat trying to take over the wheel. And so that's why we feel this discord within our body. And so human design says, here is the operation manual on how to operate your body and let it do its freaking thing. And so every day, this will kind of tie into the next question of what are the most important things. Your type, which is your energetic aura, your strategy, which is how you put your body into cruise control, and then your authority, which is your decision making mechanism. Those are the only three things that everyone on earth needs to know. And when you apply that knowledge, then you start letting the body do its thing. And we can talk about that in the next episode. But as far as learning about human design, it's a very in-depth modality. I've been actively studying it for over 2 years now and almost three, and I'm still learning something new every day. So what I tell people, the easiest way to start learning about it is to start learning about yourself. So feel free to DM me on Instagram and send me a copy of your chart. I'm sure you'll have it in the show notes to get their chart, and then I'll give you some insight because that's the easiest way. And then I can point you to different resources or different offerings that I have to dive deeper.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us. I think this is a really great start and great introduction to you and what is human design. And I feel like I got a little bit of an idea of what it is. And I think that if anybody is dealing, okay, I got this. One last question: is there anything specifically that someone may be dealing with that would be and I hear that I understand that it's just for everybody, but is there anybody that might be like a burning, like, hey, like this is happening in your life, you should definitely check this out right now? Because can you speak to anybody specific?
Well, this might not be that specific, but if you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and burnt out, this tool can really help you because there's so much energy that's happening behind the chair and we get depleted. I remember coming home just being like, oh, exhausted, not being able to do anything. And so when you understand how to protect and harness your energy, then you can prevent that from happening or at least ease it a bit.
That's so good. Okay, so in the next episode, we're going to talk about more about dig deeper into human design, and like I would really want to know, like, how do you work with people, what type of things that you're discovering, if there's any similarities that people that you're noticing, that or stuff that you work with. And as far as like being stressed out or burnout, I feel like that's basically like the theme of the post-COVID world, and
Mm.
it does seem like it's a perfect time to learn a new tool to help you deal with that, because I do think everybody's navigating boundaries and stress and expectations. So I think timing is perfect. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I look forward to having you on again to dive deeper.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care.